Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tackling a massive, honestly incredibly annoying frustration for homeowners all across San Diego, houseflies. But more importantly, we're going to break down exactly how to get rid of them permanently. We are skipping all the fluff, tossing out the old wives' tales, and looking directly at proven no-nonsense methods to reclaim your home from these buzzing invaders. Let's dive right into it.
Look, if you live in San Diego, you know this exact feeling of exasperation. You swat one fly, and I swear 3 more magically appear out of thin air. You leave the patio slider open for, 5 minutes to let a nice evening breeze in, and suddenly your kitchen is an absolute war zone. You're probably asking yourself the same core question we hear all the time. Why won't these flies just leave? Why do they seem literally invincible in our homes?
Well, here is the bombshell. It's kind of what I like to call the sunshine tax. San Diego's beautifully mild climate is actually the primary reason flies stay active basically year-round. While the rest of the country gets a hard winter freeze that naturally kills off their pest populations, we just don't. A single warm week in January here can bring flies right back out swarming around while folks in other states are still shoveling snow. We completely miss out on that natural winter reset.
So because we can't rely on the weather to do the work for us, we need a bulletproof strategy. Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, the San Diego fly problem. Then, identifying your fly, the 5-step fix, fact versus fiction, and finally, when to call pros.
Starting off with Section 1, the San Diego fly problem, a year-round nuisance. Aside from the perpetually warm weather, there are specific local environmental factors that make our county an absolute hotspot for breeding flies.
We've got everyday household and neighborhood sources creating massive breeding grounds right outside your front door. Trash cans without tight-fitting lids, that's a really obvious one, right? But also backyard compost piles and dog waste left out in the yard are huge culprits in our area. Plus, homes nestled near our beautiful canyons or open spaces face extra pressure because decaying vegetation and local wildlife add even more breeding opportunities. And we have to specifically call out East County properties. Areas like Lakeside, where you've got semi-rural setups with horses, chickens, or other livestock, they experience some of the heaviest fly pressure in the entire county because manure and peat areas are basically 5-star all-inclusive resorts for flies to breed.
Moving right along to Section 2, identifying your fly. Know your enemy. You absolutely must know what you're dealing with before trying to eliminate it because the strategies completely change depending on the species. Let's break down the usual suspects here. If you've got a housefly, it's about a 1/4 inch long, gray, with 4 distinct dark stripes on its back. You'll see them darting erratically around your kitchens and trash, and they love breeding in garbage or dog waste. Then there's the blow or bottle fly. These are slightly bigger, about 1/3 of an inch, with that shiny metallic blue or green body. If you see these guys, they're usually clustered near a very specific, awful smell, because they breed in heavy rot or dead animals. Finally, contrast those with the fruit fly. These are tiny, just 1/8 of an inch, tan or reddish, usually just hanging out on your kitchen counters and breeding in ripening fruit or dirty drains.
So, the crucial takeaway here is making this really basic distinction, big and buzzing versus tiny and hovering. If your flies are large, loud, and swarming heavily around trash cans or patio doors, you've got house or blowflies, and everything we are about to discuss applies directly to you. But if they're tiny, silent little specks just hovering lazily over your bananas or potting soil, those are fruit or drain flies, and that requires a totally different approach. Today we are specifically targeting those big, loud, intensely annoying ones. All right, Section 3, the 5-step fix. And please remember, order matters here. If you do these out of sequence, you will fail.
Here is the proven sequence you need to follow. Step 1, find the source. Step 2, clean it up. Step 3, seal and screen. Step 4, trap and knock down adults. Step 5, treat every source. Let me be incredibly clear on this. Skipping straight to Step 4, like just buying traps or sprays, without actually finding the source, is the #1 reason a fly problem never goes away. Killing the adults does absolutely nothing if the hidden source is pumping out 50 new flies every single day.
So, to execute these crucial first steps, you need actionable cleanup. Check your yard first. Daily removal of dog waste is absolutely critical. Inspect your compost piles and double-check that there is 0 meat or dairy hiding in there. Look for rotten food at the bottom of your trash cans and make it a habit to double bag your waste before it goes into that hot outdoor bin. Once you've completely removed the breeding grounds, then you secure the perimeter. Fix those torn window screens and be highly aware of your patio slider doors. In San Diego, we love leaving our sliders open on warm evenings to catch the breeze, but man, that is the premier highway for houseflies to just waltz into your home.
Moving to Section 4, Fact versus Fiction. What actually works? There is a massive industry out there constantly trying to sell you fly control products that frankly just don't solve the root issue. Let's clear the air.
Okay, sanitation and exclusion are what actually work. Taking out the trash, picking up the yard, fixing screens, it stops the problem at the root. Contrast that with heavily marketed foggers and bug zappers. Aerosol sprays only kill the flies currently floating around the room. The swarm will just rebuild the moment the fog clears if the garbage can outside is still full of rot. And indoor bug zappers, they actually underperform inside because the ultraviolet light can draw even more flies into your home from the outside than they manage to kill.
So what about traps and scents? Well, sticky traps and UV fly lights definitely have a place. They are excellent supporting tools for catching the leftover adult flies that are already inside your house after you've cleaned up the source. But please, do not rely on strong scents or electronic gadgets. Peppermint, lavender, or clove oils, they're only very mild deterrents at best. And those ultrasonic plug-in pest repellers? The data shows they literally have no real effect on flies whatsoever. Don't count on a nice scent to fight an active breeding source.
Finally, Section 5, When to Call Pros and the dreaded hidden source. What happens if you've done everything right?
If your house is literally spotless, your yard is totally clear of waste, your trash cans are bleached out, and you still have a persistent fly swarm that simply won't quit, well, that tells you a story. It means the case isn't closed. It means there's a hidden breeding source somewhere that you cannot see and just cannot reach.
And unfortunately, that hidden source, it's usually a pretty grim reality. When a pristine home has an unending swarm of large flies, it is most often a dead rodent decomposing inside a wall cavity, up in the attic, or down in the crawl space. Yeah, that is not a problem you can fix with a sticky trap from the hardware store. That requires a professional pest control expert who can perform an inspection, find exactly where the structural breach is, safely remove the decomposing source, and handle the underlying rodent problem that brought the flies in the first place.
Before we wrap up, I really want to emphasize why taking this seriously is just an absolute health necessity. You might think flies are just an annoyance because, hey, regular houseflies don't bite. But look at how they feed. They land on your food, and they literally regurgitate their own digestive fluids onto it to liquefy and absorb it. And remember, before landing on your sandwich, they were probably walking around on garbage, decaying material, or yard waste, picking up bacteria. Appetizing, right? The primary health concern here isn't an injury or a sting, it is direct food surface contamination. They are basically flying shuttles for bacteria, going straight from the dog yard to your kitchen counter. I want to leave you with this final thought on why immediate action and strict sanitation are absolutely critical. Hundreds. In a short lifespan of just 2 to 4 weeks, a single female housefly can lay hundreds of eggs. That's why a small annoyance turns into a visible swarm in just a matter of days. If you are continually seeing flies, you aren't seeing the same ones over and over. You are seeing entirely new generations hatching. To stop the cycle, you have to eliminate the source. So, are your trash cans sealed tight tonight? And more importantly, what else might be finding its way into your home's hidden spaces? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and good luck out there.